Appreciate you being here. Obviously, a disappointing way to play our last game of the season. I mean, certainly always this team has always found a way to keep fighting, to keep battling all the way to the end. But things that we really thought we would emphasize and get results of during the bowl game were areas that always show up in bowl games, right? Were turnovers, special teams, penalties, which are a result of discipline. Obviously a slow start for us, but a real good second quarter and a good start to the third quarter. The middle eight was really good. The block punt was certainly a game changer. And then found ourselves fighting our way back, but not enough at the end. That being said, questions?
Mario.
How would you assess Jerry Brown today on his first start of the season?
I thought he played hard and he did a lot of really good things. He'd love to have that one interception back, right? That was a cloudy look and had some pressure, but he really made some explosive plays. He found his way out of the pocket too when that pocket collapsed a little bit. Made some really good throws. Some other he'd like to have back against a team that's a top 10 defense, particularly in the passing game. So I just really proud of him. I thought he played a good game.
Mario, Mark Fletcher went out of the game early, and then Wesley, I think, in the start of the fourth quarter. Do you have any updates on their status, just how they're doing?
Mark hurt his foot. They took x-rays. The x-rays were negative, but there's certainly something else going on there. And then Wesley sustained an upper body injury. I think we'll have more information in a little bit.
Xavier Restrepo.
Make sure you raise your hand for Mike, please.
Xavier Restrepo hit the 1K mark, also set the single season reception record. How would you recap this season? And also Zay Horton, who had made some good catches.
Yeah, well, both those guys played really well. Obviously, Restrepo has done a really good job all year. Made some big catches today as well. We're hoping to get that one right before the half. But always plays hard, always throws his body around, and he's very reliable yet explosive player. He did a really good job today, and certainly he'd trade any record for the win. Isaiah Horton continues to develop. We felt that towards the end of the year he was developing into that guy that could split time as a starter, and he showed why today. He made some really good plays, some real tightrope sideline plays, and he's a guy that going forward we're counting on to do a lot of big things.
So it looked like that your defense struggled with their run game a little bit. When your guys are struggling like that, is there anything you as a coaching staff can do schematically to help them out, or does it fall on the players to kind of figure it out on their own?
Well, it falls on everybody. Schematically, you want to do everything possible to give yourself a chance, right? Your run fits. And I thought they did a really good job of hanging in their double teams, the back pressing the hole, inviting that Mike linebacker, and then, spitting that thing out and bouncing it a couple of times, forcing the safety to make a play. A couple times I felt that he baited those guys inside and broke it, and we lost contain, and he got outside. And other times he just ran through tackles. There were times we didn't tackle well, particularly early in the football game. So really good running backs, I should say. Their offensive line did a really good job. Got to give them credit, as opposed to just saying that we could have done better. Got to give them credit. And obviously we have to improve. We've done better. Schematically, you start mixing it up. We played everything. We did bear. We brought some Mike plugs, Will plugs, outside pressure, inside pressure, cross blitzes. At times we got home and made some plays, and other times, they got us for some chunk plays.
Harry, obviously this is a big win for Rutgers. You know Greg Schiano pretty well. What do you see from this team with the number of players that has coming back, and maybe what's the ceiling for the other team?
Good football team. Good football team. They play hard. They play physical. They play discipline.
Mario, overall, you mentioned the that block punt. What do you think it stood out in terms of the momentum for them overall itself?
Well, it changed the momentum for sure. I mean, they're in overload. We see it, so we're trying to get that ball off quick. But the snap was high, and the punter's a little bit discombobulated, and guy snuck underneath the shield on the backside of it, so he couldn't get in his normal rhythm that he does because of the snap. So, and obviously a block and a touchdown at the same time. That's massive in terms of momentum in the game.
Mario, obviously the game just ended, a couple minutes ago. It might be hard to kind of take a bigger picture look at things, but just what do you think this game means to the team and the team going forward? Obviously everyone talks about how a win can kind of vault a team to next year. Obviously you don't want a loss to drag your team down going to next year. So how do you guys kind of look at this game and the big picture of things?
You look at it with honesty. You look at it with reality that there's so many good things that we have done throughout the season that show progress, and yet we find ourselves showing a lack of discipline in crunch time, right? And a special teams blundering, and turnover on downs is a turnover, So those are things that you have to just attack collectively as a group, as an organization, coaches, players, everybody. There's no pointing fingers in there. When you win together, when you lose together. The one thing that this team has put on tape all year long, every single game, up by a bunch, down by a bunch, every single game ended up being a tight game, and this team battled. So our DNA in that sense has improved a bunch. We know how to compete. Now we've got to compete and combine better execution and discipline and coaching to go with that.
Coach, you mentioned some of the mistakes. How much is that sometimes a product of having to incorporate a lot of new guys who are playing extensive time for the first time this year?
Mm-hmm. Well, they're going to have to cut their teeth. They're going to have to, learn from some of the things that come with playing. But I think the entire country is facing that. And the last thing I like to do is to go back in there and say, hey, it's your first time. It's okay. I think when you play new players, that's an unspoken just kind of, it's going to happen. You just keep finding ways to encourage them, to give them opportunities to get better, to keep push them and help them with information to help them just have a better performance throughout the game. And so, but it's painful. It hurts. I know it hurts them. They wanted this win. They wanted it badly. We prepared hard. We prepared well. And some things showed up today and other things didn't. So I think when we talk about, but we've taken the route of we knew we had to enhance the roster. We were going to play a lot of young players. So if it comes with it, well, we just got to coach them up better, teach them better, and get guys that are doing it the right way the whole time.
Mario, you mentioned the penalties. There was a lot of them. Seemed some late hits, a bunch of stuff. Seemed like a chippy game from our vantage point. Would you agree with that? And why do you think?
It did. It got there. I mean, it's your last chance. It's we're in a really strange dynamic in college football, right? No one really knows what roster is going to look like following all these bowl games. So, and guys don't know if they're going to be at one place or going to be at another. So there's some things that, I don't know, it's just a different dynamic, and everyone's trying to play their best and trying to play hard, and there's a lot going on. So, and sometimes you go over that line, and there's no excuse for it. It's not winning football. And both teams had their share. I think they had 6 penalties. We had 5 penalties. And both teams could have avoided a bunch. Obviously, I got to focus on our team avoiding those because they're selfish, and got to play guys that don't do that or find guys that don't do that because that's the fastest way to hurt your team.
Coach, you mentioned the fight in your team at the end there. What's the value of, as you look to the offseason, getting that late touchdown, getting the onside kick, and pushing through to the end there in this game?
No, it's just never over till it's over. And all these – I mean, bowl games are, in essence, like rivalry games, right? You're never all the way finished with it when you're ahead, and you're never all the way out of it when you're behind. And at the end of the day, we had the ball with 2 timeouts and the ability to get 4 or 5 plays. Was hoping to save those time, use one on a chunk play, use another one on a chunk play, and hopefully get 2 shots at the end zone. But gave ourselves a chance, just by battling, just by everybody doing their job. And when we don't do our job, sometimes we jump out of a gap. Sometimes we miss a block. Sometimes we hold. Sometimes we overstep. We try to make a play instead of doing our job, and that's usually when we've hurt ourselves. So, a lot of value in battling. If our team continues to grow in the sense of being more competitive, in the sense of always battling, and just continue to improve on that, we'll be a good football team. We got work to do.
Mario, Reuben Bane ended the game, I think 7 tackles, 3 tackles for a loss. Obviously, he came in as a very talented guy. Yeah. How have you seen him grow throughout the year? Just where do you think he's headed in the next year or 2 of his college career?
It means the world to him. That's what it is. He's really talented, but he plays really, really hard, and it means the world to him. And need a bunch more guys like Reuben Bane.